And we're back. I'm here with Brian, Kendra, Sarah, and Hallie.
Hi.
2024, everybody.
Woo!
Just before we started, Brian caught me, I guess, what would you, psyching myself up for?
Yeah, like a really self-contained way, lest you implode.
Oh, Brian's crying a little bit.
Yeah, this is
I
intense
just saw him
already.
channel all his energy into a single point in his body, and then
I'm a pro.
Yep.
I'm a pro. Let's get into it. What a weekday. In his first campaign speech of the year, President Biden used the anniversary of January 6th to lay out the stakes in 2024 and the ongoing threat Trump and his dumb movement poses to democracy. Laying out the stakes is actually how Trump used to describe making the girls line up from his universe. Let's hear from this old guy.
Today, we're here to answer the most important of questions. Is democracy still America's sacred cause? I mean it. This is not rhetorical, academic, or hypothetical. Whether democracy is still America's sacred cause is the most urgent question of our time. And it's what the 2024 election is all about.
Well, it's one of the most urgent questions. Why are all the airplane doors falling off? Is also up there. Actually, the airplane door thing is more urgent but less important, when you think about it. I also have a question about why they picked Joe Coy to host the Globes, but that's neither urgent nor important. Biden once again ran through the details of Trump's efforts to overturn the election and the cynical embrace of Trump by Republicans who know better.
And now these MAGA voices who know the truth about Trump on January 6th have abandoned the truth and abandoned the democracy. They made their choice. Now the rest of us, Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we have to make our choice.
So will anyone help me try to hold this wriggling bag of crabs closed for 4 more years, please? Because if not, Jill tells me Danny Kaye and the Andrews sisters are doing a review at the Grand Opera.
God, if only.
I love Danny Kaye.
Me too.
The Andrews sisters.
I said we're young.
What
Yeah.
good is a gal without a guy?
There's a
I object to this. I object to the premise of that song.
I don't think we need to
You
go
gonna
into it.
reminisce?
I just love that old those old songs with kind of
He just loves those old songs.
There's a song called Civilization that I believe was used in the Fallout games.
Okay. I say not the audience for it here, but we believe you.
I think so.
So you know a song in a video game?
Biden says this of his presumptive rival.
Donald Trump's campaign is about him, not America, not you. Donald Trump's campaign is obsessed with the past, not the future. He's willing to sacrifice our democracy, put himself in power.
Then a crooked smile spread across Biden's lips as he stared directly into the camera and added, "That's why we're going to call him Donald Duck." Biden delivered his speech near Valley Forge in Pennsylvania, where George Washington and his troops spent the winter of 1777 during the Revolutionary War. Yes, a poignant choice, said an undecided voter watching Netflix and YouTube at the same time. Biden explained the significance of the historical setting as that was where Baron von Steuben once tried to fuck him.
Ooh.
Do you like a Baron von Steuben reference?
Yeah, I do.
Is he from Fallout?
Is he the imagined enemy that Snoopy thinks about when he's flying his little
hell
dog?
yeah.
Was that the
That's
Kaiser?
the Red Baron.
The Red
That's
Baron.
Oh, the Red
Yeah.
Baron.
So close.
The Red
This is the Red
Baron.
Baron crowd.
Yeah.
The Red Baron. Snoopy is from a time when dogs slept outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
And weren't our children.
Yeah.
I feel like they were our sons and daughters.
They ate anything.
Yeah.
I saw a movie last night, and there was the family dog was named Snoop.
Oh. I would name a dog Snoopy.
What film?
Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, I want to
Oh,
watch
yeah.
Anatomy of
It's
a
really
Fall.
dark. Something bad happens to Snoop, and I won't say anymore. But I will be
Well,
like,
you said too much. But here's my question for you. What percentage of it is in English?
more than I anticipated. I
just-
didn't fall asleep, and I watched it after 9 p.m.
30%, 50%, 70%?
I would say 70% in English.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, they got to put that on the poster.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, the Biden speech was great. I especially love the last line. In conclusion, abortion, abortion, abortion. God bless America. Then on Monday, President Biden reiterated his message at Charleston's Mother Emanuel AME Church, saying of Trump, losers are taught to concede when they lose. He's a loser. I don't care what you think of Biden or his presidency. It's cool to call someone a loser in church.
Who would you call a loser from the pulpit?
So, I mean, where to begin?
Wherever you want.
I don't know about Bono.
You start with the devil and you work your way.
See,
I don't know
you work your way down.
I don't know about Bono in that sphere.
Okay.
Get him. Get him.
Like, I want to see the sphere.
It's pretty cool.
It seems cool, but I don't need to hear Bono music in front of it.
Yeah, no, that's a problem.
In front of it.
I think inside of it.
But you know what I mean? It's like
Stand outside.
it's like
He's busking.
Hey, it's like the thing about the sphere. The thing about the sphere is it's like I'm interested in the sphere.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
It's sort of I love a big swing.
You're an American.
I think there's a nature documentary you can go see in there.
Yeah, that's what I
that's
want to
pretty
see.
cool.
Yeah.
I want it. You know what it is? It's like, hey, a sphere is just two planetariums stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
I was denied a job at the LA Planetarium.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
My voice was too high.
What?
Space is a place where low-voiced men tell you what's happening.
Well, I went to the planetarium at the Griffith Observatory, which I believe is the one you're referring to.
Mhm.
And
Pays really well.
what I loved about it was the person who did the show. It's live every time.
Mhm.
That is a performance of a lifetime.
Ugh,
I like that planetarium show is a place where the person doing there's Europa, there's whatever you call it, Ganymedes or whatever, is waiting to be discovered. You know, like Chris Pratt at a California pizza kitchen in Hawaii.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
well,
the
Brian,
job I
think
wanted.
you would have done great.
I know. You would have been
seems
great.
homophobic to me.
I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
Too high for what?
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly,
Yeah, can't hear
They're
anything. in
lost our
space.
game.
The Milky Way.
I think you would have been great at that.
Yeah.
There was the part of it is the woman who did the presentation at the observatory. You hold a glowing orb, and was that what you were gonna do?
Yeah, I wanted to. It was the orb where I was like, I would hold that orb so good.
You would have been great. Hey, if you work at the Griffith Observatory and
On January 1st, 2025.
Hey, come get this guy off our hands.
all right, well, I felt that turned into a threat at the end there. Said Biden of Trump and his supporters who attempted to undermine the 2020 election.
There's one thing they don't have. They don't have respect for the 81 million people who voted the other way, voted for my candidacy, and voted to end the presidency. In their world, these Americans, including you, don't count. But that's not the real world. That's not democracy. That's not America.
Continued Biden. In fact, even this world, the one we all exist in, even this isn't the real world. This is a simulation, which looks very similar to the real world, except that none of us have free will, okay? Only the feeling of free will. Some scientists at the Pentagon and the real world put this thing together, except the real world version is called an octagon, they tell me. Now, why is Jill waving her hands like that? Oh, yeah, okay. I wasn't supposed to say any of that. Forget I said that. Where was I? The church was the site of a mass shooting in 2015 in which 9 parishioners were killed by white supremacists. So it was a little weird when Biden started his speech by insisting that he would have been a better Golden Globes host and then doing a bunch of jokes about Saltburn. But you know what? He landed the plane. Meanwhile, Donald Trump marked the anniversary of the insurrection he incited by glorifying the convicted rioters and calling for their release from prison. Oh, so he can remember an anniversary, said all of Trump's wives, including the dead one. Trump went on to say this during a campaign stomp in Clinton, Iowa.
You know what they ought to do? They ought to release the J6 hostages. They've suffered enough. They ought to release them. I call them hostages. Some people call them prisoners. I call them hostages. Release the J6 hostages, Joe. Release them, Joe. You can do it real easy, Joe.
What was the Joe thing? It's really menacing and strange.
He's rocking a wild look right now too. He like that tan. He hasn't been this tan in a while.
It looks great.
Oh, good.
But what, Joe?
It was like he was trying to come up with one of his like patented nicknames that he knows
And it
works
wasn't
for him,
there.
but
Yeah.
it wasn't
wasn't there.
coming.
Sometimes he seems to get stuck on a sound that just like feels good to say, and
Yeah.
he just do it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Just get in a little groove.
House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik on Sunday echoed Trump's creative reframing of January 6th during an appearance on Meet the Press.
I have concerns about the treatment of January 6 hostages. I have concerns. We have a role in Congress of oversight over our treatments of prisoners. And I believe that we're seeing the weaponization of the federal government against not just President Trump, but we're seeing it against conservatives. We're seeing it against Catholics.
Hi, I'm Elise Stefanik. I'm 5'4". I hate the feeling of leaving a table and being alone in a bathroom with just my thoughts. And today I'm auditioning for the role of vice president.
She has concerns about prisoners? Like, could we expand that?
Oh, I don't think she'd like to.
Oh, no.
Speaking as maybe like the only person here who has family within the jail system. Like, that's insane. They just found a bunch of unmarked graves behind a prison in Jackson, Mississippi, where they have been burying prisoners without telling their family members that they died in prison. And she's concerned about the January 6 people.
Well, I think that's, fundamentally the problem with everything on their side is like they don't actually care about anything. So it's like, even this, it's all, and it's not even convincing. Like, if you're a Trump supporter, do you even believe they care about January 6th anymore? Like, there's nothing behind it. So you're right, it's all so hollow and it applies to nobody else.
I was watching something the other night where a woman like very clearly explained that if you're pregnant, we know the horrors of what happens when you're pregnant within the jail system. Ugh. She explained that if you are pregnant and you give birth in the jail system, I did not know this, your baby leaves the jail system with a jail inmate number.
Ugh.
Oh. Sorry, that just like really actually upset me.
It reminds me of when we had Josie Reisman on and talking about how wrestling is metaphor for all this, and this is just kayfabe. Like, no, she doesn't care about the January 6th prisoners. Nobody cares about the January 6th prisoners. It's a way of signaling your belonging to the group of people who are pretending that there's been some kind of an injustice committed against these people, because that's how you show your loyalty to Trump. Like, she's never cared about prison reform, and she never will.
Yeah. And I think that sort of like speaks to your point where it's just sort of like we're on the left then put in this position where like we have to have the arguments amongst ourselves about what to do and like how to fix these things. Whereas like they are this void and this vacuum because they don't care. Like we can't even begin the conversation with them because it would imply that they care about something getting better.
Yeah. They're not going to have the debate with you.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword because they care about the noise. They care about the kind of theater of politics and the performance of politics. And that does two things. Obviously, that makes politics a misery in ways like it's not like our problems are easy to solve when there isn't a group of people just playing a bugle in our ear all the time. Like doing hard math problems is hard without the bugle. But one, it did mean that when this group of people had power, when Trump won, they couldn't do the things they promised to do, right? Like they didn't shrink the government. They didn't repeal Obamacare. They did cut taxes and increase the deficit because cutting taxes is the fun and easy part. But they couldn't actually do the hard part of making policy. Even now, in the interest of theater, they remove a Speaker of the House they don't like, replace Kevin McCarthy with Mike Johnson, and then Mike Johnson just this week announces a deal with Schumer that's basically identical to the one McCarthy got because reality continues to be reality. And he gives them a sop of saying, I'll go along with impeaching Biden. I'll go along with impeaching the Secretary of Homeland Security, even though that will come to literally nothing because the Senate will never remove him. And then you have these two split screen images. One is House Republicans threatening to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security for crimes TBD. And then on the other side, you have that same Homeland Security Secretary negotiating with Senate Republicans on a deal to actually change border policy. Like their lack of interest in actually doing governing, it sometimes means we can't make America a better place, but it means they're not very good at making it a worse place sometimes too. You know?
Right. You can't be effective truly without having a belief in the outcome. And they don't believe in it. Like they don't believe in anything, so they don't have the ability to like drive people towards an end. Fundamentally, they'll just drop it and then pick up something else. Yeah. And you have to go this horrible endless cycle where it's like whatever seems like something they could use, like they'll just pick that up and then drop that and like move on to the next group. Yeah, it's like
you know, oh, they're going to try to touch a rider about wokeness in the military. It's like, okay, it's like the adults are trying to figure out how to have a society. Stefanik also refused to commit to certifying the 2024 election no matter who wins, saying this.
We will see if this is a legal and valid election. What we're seeing so far is that Democrats are so desperate, they're trying to remove President Trump from the ballot.
Will I promise not to shoot up the bank again? Well, Kristen, we'll have to see if they hand over the big sacks of money first. They're trying to turn this effort to remove Trump from the ballot in Maine and Colorado into this version of Democrats being against democracy. And, well, I just think that's awful of them to turn our efforts to remove Trump from the ballot for specious reasons into some sort of attack on democracy. We should remove him from the ballot because we
play to win?
Yeah.
Because people don't want to win anymore?
Because he did an insurrection?
Because that thing he did, we all saw on TV?
Well, it's also like, she's like, the Democrats are playing to win. And I'm like, that's not my experience of being a Democrat.
Oh, yeah, it was like, us? You think we have a plan?
What, you think Maine and Colorado were on the horn together? Like,
yeah, the
like
way
coordinating
Republicans
this?
talk about Democrats, like, God, that sounds amazing.
I wish we were
Make
doing
it sound
that.
like M6.
Yeah, they really do make these
It's a lot
Democrats,
of
they're
credit over
bloodthirsty. They
half of us are on the Zoom, half of us on the Google Meet. Like, where are you?
I only read the clips. I hadn't actually seen Elise Stefanik on Meet the Press. And as terms of a look put together for the purposes.
She
what?
looks great
She looks
because
great.
she's going to be the vice president.
She's really,
she knows
but,
what she's doing.
But even that look, like
It's
the
sort of a black
pearls,
swan look.
Yeah.
it feels like it's for an audience of one.
Well, you can't be like Jim Jordan, like coming out like you gotta like at least look like a human.
No,
like when they put
you're
you up
like,
there.
I want Natalie Portman to play me in the TV movie, and so I have to look relatively good.
Katie Mixon.
Natalie Portman, really?
Katie Mixon from Eastbound and Down.
I think this is going to be Natalie Portman's like Julianne Moore as Sarah Palin.
Oh, see, I'm seeing like a Cecily Strong.
I think in an SNL context. I'm in an HBO context.
Okay. I think she could do both. I
Okay.
think she has the range.
Okay. I agree.
Wow, this is interesting. Who's right for Elise Stefanik for
Monica
HBO?
Lewinsky.
Oh, also
Monica
Mary Louise Parker.
Yes,
That's it.
You got it.
Oh, God,
That'd
I
be
love
great.
her. Oh, my
That'd
God.
be
I could see
great.
Elise Stefanik just like drinking a nice coffee, biting the straw.
Sitting on top of Josh's counter in his kitchen.
Oh, man. That's a good scene.
Yes.
Meanwhile, speaking of places Trump supporters smear and shit, in Congress, the deadline to pass a 2024 funding bill and avoid a government shutdown is fast approaching as always. Last year, Mike Johnson managed to get House Republicans to join him in kicking the can down the road. And now we're here at the can again. This fucking can. Basically, there are two deadlines, one next week for one chunk of the government and one in February for the other chunk of the government. It's like the federal government has ADHD and their therapist is teaching them to divide their big tasks into smaller, more manageable tasks. A shutdown seemed imminent, and then on Sunday, Senate Majority Leader and guy whose wife is in a long line for the women's room at a Broadway theater, Chuck Schumer, and House Speaker and guy whose wife believes theater is a sin and acting as a form of prostitution, Mike Johnson, announced that they had reached a spending deal. Just imagine the state of that room after they hash this out. Payday wrappers everywhere, egg salad crust, whatever weird underwear Mike Johnson has to wear so the devil doesn't control his balls or something. A room where history was made. In an act of camaraderie, Schumer allegedly bought bagels and lox, which Mike Johnson held up with two fingers like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? You have to eat it or it's rude.
I don't think Mike Johnson worries about that.
He definitely said the words "your people" though.
Yeah.
That Schumer, he's a crafty one, he said to someone in private.
God.
Because he's Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chuck Schumer is Jewish. Jewish. I feel like Mike Johnson says it in a way that would make us uncomfortable.
Well, you're
Chuck
doing
Schumer's
you're doing the
Jewish.
Trump. You're doing the Trump draw.
Jewish.
He would say a Jewish. Chuck Schumer is a Jewish.
A Jewish.
Yeah.
It's better than the. You never like to hear the.
No.
The Jews, the blacks.
Someone told me I was the first Jewish they ever met.
Really?
Yeah, I like that. Hi,
We're-
Taylor.
Well, I'm sorry, you were.
The deal that Schumer and Johnson announced looks a lot like the deal struck in 2023 between President Biden and former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, which conservatives staunchly opposed at the time. Man, McCarthy must be so mad. Hope he doesn't take it out on the other clowns at Clown College. Schumer called it a good deal for Democrats in the country, which is why Marjorie Taylor Greene exploded through the wall of the Capitol like the Kool-Aid man the second she checked her work email. Meanwhile, in his letter to fellow House Republicans, Johnson pointed out IRS cuts, saying the result is a real savings to American taxpayers, but admitted that these final spending levels bills will not satisfy everyone. And boy, was he right. While campaigning with Ron DeSantis in Iowa, Congressman Chip Roy told the crowd, I got some text messages from, I won't say who, one of the Republican leaders today, saying how much my tactics are not helpful, how they're ticking off some of my colleagues. I said, well, it's not going to be the first time and it's not going to be the last. I too like to announce it into a microphone when people at work are mad at me. I got some text messages from, and I won't say who, our office manager Ben, saying how all the dishes I leave in the sink aren't helpful and that it's clear I'm actually bringing in dirty dishes from home. I said, well, while you were texting me, my dog peed in the kitchen. And the question is, how long can you live with that sitting there? Because I can go all fucking day. But Congress wasn't the only place where everyone was uncomfortable and wanting to go home this weekend. According to The Hollywood Reporter, several celebrities got the ask to host this year's Golden Globe Awards and said no, including Chris Rock, Ali Wong, and Smartless hosts Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and Sean Hayes, before the award show landed on their pick, comedian Joe Coy. Just think, if you guys out there had put a little more effort into these Apple Podcast reviews, last month Love It or Leave It could have been turning down the Golden Globes.
Would you have turned it down? Be honest.
For the record, I also said no. A lot of people don't realize this, but you don't have to wait until they ask you. You can just say it in your car or wherever. So Joe Coy got the gig, and the reviews are in.
What? That's hilarious. It's
Things took a turn almost as soon as the show began after Coy made a joke comparing Barbie and Oppenheimer in his monologue.
Oppenheimer is based on a 721-page Pulitzer Prize-winning book about the Manhattan Project. And Barbie is on a plastic doll with big boobies.
What a disgusting reduction. This didn't make the movie, but the historical J. Robert Oppenheimer also had huge cans. He then became defensive and blamed his monologue writers.
Yo, I got the gig 10 days ago. You want a perfect monologue? Yo, shut up. You're kidding me, right? Slow down. I wrote some of these, and they're the ones you're laughing at. Look.
I didn't realize you're allowed to do that. That's cool. We should start thinking about next year's ceremony, Golden Globes. If you're listening, I only need 2 days to put together a monologue, and you can get these same results for less money. We wrote this show this morning, and you're welcome. Blaming your writers like that is pathetic and unprofessional. You need to call them each out by name, making it really sing, or they'll never learn. Isn't that right, Sarah Lazarus? Now repeat the mantra we talked about.
I'm worse than ChatGPT.
Here's another gem.
By the way, the color purple is also what happens to your butt when you take Ozempic. Half the room is cringing, and the other half is like, I gotta get home and grab my selfie stick. Just gonna be home after the Globes. Man, he was lying. It's more of a magenta.
I don't even understand that one.
And it's like too disgusting to like try to like peel apart and dive into.
It's also like you could just like see your butt without having to like put yourself on. Like...
Anyway, you think you could beat that joke in 10 days?
Tell you in 10 days.
I could become a whole new person in 10 days. We do 2 monologues a week. I could change my entire life.
I don't even I get it was like the color purple or blank. But why would your butt be purple?
There's no way this guy didn't have a bunch of other options for the color purple.
Yeah,
it's a color. It's a I'm sure there's a dozen other jokes.
I thought he was talking maybe about diarrhea, but then like the joke was not clear enough.
Also, my diarrhea isn't purple.
Yeah, well, that's what I jumped. Well, that's the thing. That's what I jumped to. I was like, well, then there's something more wrong than just the Ozempic.
Yeah, Joe Coy loves grapes.
I think it's vaguely referencing the fact that on Ozempic or Mounjaro, there's gastrointestinal things, right? Is that what vaguely it's referencing?
Yeah. Then we're still missing several steps.
Right, but it wouldn't turn your
like
butt purple.
Yeah, he used it was the wrong word choice of butt.
Well, what would turn purple?
The poopy.
Again, I'm assuming he's talking about like.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
I wasn't challenging your beliefs.
We're trying to figure out this man's bad joke.
It's like play with the idea of like being too thin. Like there's like use the references that people when you say Ozempic, you then have to be like, oh, it turns your butt purple. It's like, well, it doesn't. And also, what are we talking about? And then he does an act out with a selfie stick.
Yeah, wait,
looks
like,
at his
why
own
is the
butt.
selfie stick here?
In front of
Also,
Meryl
in his
Streep.
act out, he's not using a selfie stick. He's just holding the phone.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you don't need the selfie stick to see your butt. Oh, that's the point you were making.
I guess.
I thought you were saying you were looking
bad.
at your butthole without a camera. which I do think is tricky.
Well,
You could do it with a
he
mirror.
wasn't saying even butthole. Like, you could just see your butt.
Yeah.
And then former Golden Globes host Ricky Gervais won the show's first ever Best Stand-Up Comedy Award for his Netflix special Armageddon, but didn't bother to attend the ceremony. In the clip the Golden Globes chose to show to highlight Ricky Gervais' special, he says that he received backlash for saying things you can't say, but said them anyway. And then he received a Golden Globe for saying he will keep saying the things you cannot say. It really was a tough night for stand-up on the whole. I know it's like kind of goes without saying at this point, but I watched like the first 5 minutes of the Ricky Gervais special. Like I am just interested in the Netflix anti-cancel culture comedy vertical that they seem to have going. And like you watch the Chappelle special, and obviously there's like parts about it that are gross, but also parts that are just like excellent. Like he's just an incredible performer, an incredible storyteller. It's now self-aggrandizing. Clearly, like when you build part of your identity around the fact that your critics are going too far, you train yourself, I guess, not to listen. So there's a lot of stuff where it's like, oh, I don't think there's a lot of feedback here. There's a lot of like patting yourself on the back. Same thing with Ricky Gervais. But I watched the first like few minutes of the Ricky Gervais special, and it is insufferable. Like it is literally someone saying, like, there was a lot of backlash to my last special, but here I am saying this anyway. And the first time you did it, it was on a multi-million-dollar Netflix special. Now you're responding to it in a multi-million-dollar Netflix special. In between those two specials, you were working on this very special, and there's just no awareness. There's no awareness of the fact that like, hey, like you did receive some criticism. Like I'm sure there was like a Vulture article and like several angry tweets and posts about some of your stand-up, which is stupid and reductive and anti-trans and, embarrassing and hacky and whatever. But there's no consequences for that negative criticism. So really you just don't like being criticized. And like, of course, a group of very powerful and wealthy and successful celebrities would choose to recognize that position because nobody likes being criticized.
I think it's like basically in order to do stand-up, you have to come from an aggrieved place. Like you kind of like, having done stand-up, it's like you have to have a chip on your shoulder. The problem is once you get to their level, what is the chip? And I think that they don't know. They don't have anything other than being criticized. Nothing bad does happen to them. They could actually like challenge politicians or do something. Like they could really try to do something with their platform. But once you reach a certain level, there's no pushback, so you have to fabricate pushback. Or like you have to be like, oh, again, like somebody, it was like a MoveOn.org petition about him making fun of terminally ill children, and it'd be like, can you believe they said that? It's like, yeah, but you'll just talk about your next special. Like the 12 people who signed that, like this isn't they aren't like a real threat to you.
But there's no friction in your life to talk about.
Yeah, so there's no comedy. Like there isn't anywhere to go with it.
Well, it's kind of like I always say, and I won't name the people I say this about, but there are certain writers in television.
Name them.
No, I'm not
Name
going
and
to. I'm
shame.
absolutely not going to. But
Okay.
there are certain writers in television where you can tell there comes a point where they have become so successful that they have to stop interacting with like real people and doing real tasks every day, the stuff that like gets you material to write about. And that's when their writing like takes a precipitous drop in quality because they're not having experiences anymore.
Yeah, it's wild.
But also, like, to be a great insult comic, like, you need specificity. Like call people out, Ricky Gervais. Like, Trump has, like, is naming names, like, and we think that's funny. Like, they all stick. Like, the like, vague, like, abstract, like, I'm aggrieved because people came after me, like, can't be funny because, like, you're not actually saying anything. Like, Catullus named his critics in, like, his insult poems.
Well,
like,
that's what I mean. It's like everyone's a critic is the oldest kind of stand-up. Like it's literally thousands of years old. Like ugh, everybody's a critic. Like it's annoying. I do think that like there are two parts of it beyond what you're saying, which I think is right. Like one is I do think that like it's clearly gotten worse to be very famous. Like I do think it used to be more fun. Like you could be on drugs and drunk and drive your car through a storefront at Beverly Hills and then put $200 in the pocket of somebody and it was gone.
You're saying 1976. That was the peak year.
And so that like celebrity came with so many perks, right? Like it's just like being famous was so valuable. Like restaurants, money, access, people telling you how great you were all the time. And there just weren't as many downsides there. And smartphones, obviously, like, there's the part of it where it's just like, there's just more coverage of these people. Like, Jerry Seinfeld can't pick up a high school student in a park today because when he, right.
And
well,
we all
like,
feel so sad for him.
and we do, right? But like, he could do that because there were stories about it, but that's it. There's no, what are you gonna do, microfiche? Like, it's over. There was no other place for these things to live forever. It was just in the newspaper or on television, then it was gone. That was it. Now it would live on forever. But also it's like, these people go into a store or like they go somewhere and basically like they have to be on their best behavior all the time, right? And so like they're all reacting to that. And so when Ricky Gervais gets criticism for making fun of Make-A-Wish or whatever, and he gets bad tweets about it online, like all these people really relate. Like there's a reason they pick him.
Make-A-Wish was mad at me last week.
It's like,
also, by the way, your dog is snoring and it's very cute.
Barbie became the first movie to win in the Golden Globes' new category, Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, which was created to recognize films for their financial success. A spokesperson for the Golden Globes explained, "Until we develop the technology to count how much money a movie makes, this award will have to suffice." Swifties were hoping that the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award would go to the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. If you're wondering why anyone would think a movie that made less money would have a shot at the most money prize, all I could say is Swifties gave a straight woman the most gay award. And speaking of rooms with the oxygen sucked out of them, an Alaska Airlines flight made an emergency landing in Portland on Friday after the plane lost a chunk of its fuselage, a door plug filling in an unneeded emergency exit at 16,000 feet. Next time I use this airline, I'll ask for an aisle seat. Huh?
Yes.
That was good.
Alaska Airlines explained the emergency exit is unneeded because it's easier to just use the plane as one big coffin.
No.
Thank God a distraction, said a flight attendant, getting bitten by a pack of unruly passengers. A person on board filmed the footage and posted it to TikTok. The most disturbing part, no TVs in the headrests. Fortunately, no one was seated in the window seat directly next to the gaping maw, but for an extra $300, one lucky passenger on the next flight will get to experience floor-to-ceiling views in the coveted Window Plus seat. Investigators at the NTSB said Monday that they found the door plug that blew off mid-flight. As predicted, it had fallen to the ground. 2 phones that fell out of the plane have also been recovered. At least one, an iPhone, was found fully intact, still on, and showing an email with an Alaska Airlines baggage receipt. The owner of the iPhone told a reporter, "I'm shocked it's still working. I thought for sure it wouldn't be after it went through that guy's skull." And that's it. And that's our show. Thank you to Brian, Kendra, Sarah, and Hallie. We're back live every week in Los Angeles. So if you're in LA, we're recording at the Laundry Room on Thursday. And for everyone else, see you Slut Saturday.